one person can only do so much. One deal, just an example, one deal. That's meeting with the clients, getting a listing agreement signed, multiple follow-ups, then having open houses, marketing the property, doing everything. That's just what for one client. Okay. If you take that into consideration, if you have someone making the phone calls, scheduling this appointments that are merged with your calendar while you're dealing with everything you need to deal with to get one transaction began and to follow through to completion, it saves so much time and it makes things so much easier.
Awesome. Hey, how's it going, Matt? Thank you so much for being gracious with your time and helping give us a little bit of information here for the audience. So, Matt, real quick, why don't you give us a little bit of information on your business? Like who's Matt McCormick? Where do you work? How long you been in the business?
So I've been with Keller Williams Capital Realty for just over 2 years, closer to 2.5 years as of now. So I kind of got in near the tail end of COVID there. So with that, I think I started with Meskula January of this year, 2024. So about a little over a year and a half. Yeah.
I got you. And what market do you serve?
The Greater Moncton area.
Gotcha.
Which is in Canada for anyone that's outside the country.
That's Ontario, right? Ontario in Canada.
So New Brunswick, actually. New Brunswick, yeah.
Oh, New Brunswick, my bad.
Yeah.
So New Brunswick area out in Canada, awesome, And so, we have a partner that we have in common, Meskula Media. They're a marketing agency. They do a really good job, and they're the ones that told me about you, right? Because we help them with ISAs, so we help them find, train, manage a great group of ISAs. So you've been working with them for the last couple of years. What have your results been like? Working with Meskula Media, and they're doing home valuation leads for you, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's been going quite well. For 6 months, lots of leads coming through, and with those leads, you get them to an in-person, and a fair majority do convert. And if they don't convert right away, they will eventually convert. So I think the first 6 months I did, I got about 7. I think it was 7 listings in total. So it went quite well. Wow. Yeah.
Awesome. And, and those home valuation leads, I think a lot of agents try them. A lot of agents give them a shot. And a lot of agents get discouraged because not everyone's ready to list right away, right? They're coming into it, and they're not asking you to come list their home. They're actually asking you for something a little bit different, right? They're asking for a home valuation. And someone can have a lot of different motivations for a home valuation. How do you approach that conversation? I'm curious. When someone comes in, they're requesting the value of their home, how do you kick that off? How do you kick off that relationship? Because it seems like you're doing something really, really well because you're kicking off the relationship and then leading them to the listing part.
Right. So when I come in, well, it usually starts with a phone call, right? So during that phone call, I get an idea of all the details of the property and give them a broad range of what they're looking at. With that, depending on the numbers, and most times it's relatively what they expect, could be a little higher, a little lower. I get to the point, look, to get a more accurate idea, let's actually see the property firsthand, find a date that works for them, we get in the door. Once we get in there, usually between 40 to 60 minutes to do a walk through the property, get an understanding of the size of the bedrooms, bathrooms, interior, exterior condition, and so forth, all of those additional details, and have a conversation, right? So go over the details of what their property is worth, and should they decide to list the property, why they'd want to work with me. So it's just one of those conversations. And if they're not in the position to list, that's perfectly fine. We throw them on a drip campaign if we need to, touch base periodically, and it's gonna take it like that. Yeah,
I gotcha. So you approach it from the home valuation perspective. If they want the more detailed valuation, that's your trigger to say, well, I'd have to go take a look at the property. When are you available to give you like the primo stuff? If you want the best information, I have to take a quick tour. That's where you kind of put your foot in the door and you set the appointment to go out there.
100%. Yeah.
I love it. And being transparent with folks, not all those appointments are going to lead to a listing, right? Not every single one is ready to go. Would you say of those 7 listings in those first 6 months, ballpark, was it a couple weeks to get them to list? Was it a couple of months of follow up? What's a good expectation for folks? I think that's the big thing a lot of agents get wrong. They kind of expect these to be listing appointments, and the majority of them are just not listing appointments. What would you say
Right.
is a typical follow up time people should expect?
It could take, I've had a couple. So I think about two of those actually ended up being listings within 2 weeks to a month after we met. However, most of
Nice.
them took almost, for 3 to 4 months before I actually
Which,
got the listing. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah. So the typical is going to be 3 or 4 months. Some of them will
yeah,
be home runs right off the bat
yeah.
within a few weeks. But most of them are going to take that follow up sequence. I love that.
Right.
I love that because I think that's a lot of agents get stuck on that. They expect
Yep.
a lot of these to be now business, and just given where the lead is coming from, I think a more realistic expectation is to have that follow up. I love that. Thanks for that information. And with Meskula, you get access to the an ISA team, right? Which is what we help them out with. How has that helped you having an ISA team there to make that initial call, to help you call those leads, pound the phone? How's that impacted the whole process?
It's helped quite a bit. So as of right now, I'm going through the transition actually. So I've been doing real estate for about 2.5 years, but I'm going through the transition of leaving my full-time job, which is another sales role,
Wow.
and transitioning full-time into real estate. So that's helped out quite a bit because during the time I'm spending on other activities for my other job, I have calls being made. Hey, getting appointments booked and figuring out what the details of the property are. And so that helps out a lot. And even when I'm full time, it's still going to be beneficial because I'm still going to be meeting, doing viewings, listing appointments, going through contracts when someone could be on the phone, having a phone call and getting something set up. So,
I love that. I love it. That's an excellent. I mean, and I love that because you had another job. This is your kind of your side job, and it's so challenging as an agent to
yeah,
be part time, to have another full time job because of the calls, because of
yeah.
the online leads coming in, and they need immediate follow up, and they need a lot of phone calls. That makes perfect sense. I love that. So, Matthew, last question: if someone were considering, thinking about working with Meskula Media, working with an ISA to help them convert their leads, what would you say to them to kind of get them off the fence?
It's well worth the investment. It's one of those situations where I mean, myself, I'm not on a team. I'm one person. One person can only do so much. One deal, just an example, one deal. That's meeting with the clients, getting a listing agreement signed, multiple follow-ups, then having open houses, marketing the property, doing everything. That's just what for one client. Okay. If you take that into consideration, if you have someone making the phone calls, scheduling this appointments that are merged with your calendar while you're dealing with everything you need to deal with to get one transaction begin and to follow through to completion, it saves so much time and it makes things so much easier. That's all I can really say.
I love it. Matt, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.